Well, it's about time for another Patreon request. I haven't had one of these in a while, mainly because I've been dragging my feet. But recently I got a new Patreon by the name of Leifon, and Leifon wanted me to review something a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I'm not quite sure what it was that attracted them to want me to review this album, but hey, I'm up for anything, so yeah, let's dive into this. Niche Syndrome by One OK Rock. So, One OK Rock is a Japanese rock band, and they got their name from when they used to practice and rehearse in their studio at like 1 o'clock, and it became like One O Rock because of their accents being from Japan and whatnot, and then it just slowly blossomed into One OK Rock. They put out like 3 back-to-back albums in 2007 and 2 in 2008. And now we come to their 4th full-length album of Niche Syndrome. And this one was put out in 2010. The year prior, their lead guitarist was arrested for, groping a 21-year-old female student on a train. Nice. Oh, boy. So he quickly disbanded, and so what used to be a 5-piece band is now a 4-piece band. We've got, and I want to try these names, they're all in Japanese. Here we go. Takahiro, or Taka Moriuchi on lead vocals, Tori Yamashita on guitars and backing vocals, and he has now taken over as the lead guitarist in this one. Ryota Kohama on bass guitars, and Tomoya Kanti on drums. And geez, that's worth the Patreon request just to hear me try to say all their names. Jeez. So yeah, as I mentioned, this is their 4th studio album. It's interesting, if I'm being perfectly honest. Definitely not my cup of tea. Like, it definitely blends the Japanese flavor of music, specifically like what I know from the J-pop side of things. That kind of energy, that kind of production work, that type of, I guess, vibe with very, like mid-2000s rock. We're thinking of like the emo rock. So like My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy, where that was very, very popular. A little bit more on the theatrics, a little bit more on, I want to say like blunt aggression. Like it's got a little bit of aggression in the voice, but because it's so overly produced and because it's so overly polished, it kind of, takes any kind of sharpness and just rounds it out into a very spherical ball. And in some ways, it provides a very entertaining listen from start to finish. This band has a lot of energy behind them. There's a lot of get up and go found within these tracks, but at no point am I ever really wowed about the musicianship. I'm never really wowed about any of the lyrics or the singing styles. I just feel like it's very paint by numbers in terms of how the music is being brought forth and presented. I was kind of always hoping for something a little bit more. And the entire time I was listening to it, I always wanted to either take a break and listen to My Chemical Romance, or I wanted to listen to some of those like J-pop or J-rock stuff that I enjoy. Like my favorite band from this era might be the Rodwimps, that did the soundtrack to Your Name. And actually half the time after listening to this, I would just listen to the Your Name soundtrack. In terms of like the individual tracks, there are still a few that I can at least sink my teeth into a little bit. And oddly enough, those are usually the more subdued ones. Like Yes I Am has a really catchy hook near the midpoint. I really like the chorus. I like the build-ups that bring from the verses into the chorus. I thought that was really fun. I also really like the track Wherever You Are, the 9th track. I like how it has a general build. I like a little bit more of the emotional presentation that we have within the vocal works. Like every time the lead vocalist tries to come up with some more aggression in his voice, I feel like it falls flat. But when I feel like it's being more genuine and there's a lot more genuflection within the vocal works, I connect a lot more, and I do enjoy the general build on that track as well. And there are a bunch of tracks that I find are genuinely kind of fun. Like Adult Suit, the 11th track has a lot of kind of get up and go aspects to it. Juban Rock, the 7th track, has a really interesting bass line on it. You know, it reminds me a little bit of Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, just at least with how chunky the track is. But man, there's a lot of tracks on here that really kind of grate me the wrong way. They're trying to blend a little too much within the aggression that never really comes across. Like Never Let This Go, the 2nd track, the big track of Kazin Kaku, Kan Kaku, Dreamer, Liar, and the one that really puts me off is Riot, the 10th track. Riot just comes out of nowhere, and it's trying to be this big aggressive kind of statement like we need to riot, we need to, you know, blast down the doors or whatnot, and it just, I don't know, it just feels so juvenile. And I don't mean that as like a negative, like inherently being juvenile isn't necessarily a bad thing, but like a descriptor, like very young, very fresh, you know, they're angry at not having really anything to be angry about in that case, you know. And this was kind of something that a lot of the emo music that I'm not a big fan of inherently have. They're taking kind of the worst side of the emo music that I'm like, ooh, that, you know, wrong ones to take. You don't take that. But at least the album ends off with a fairly well track with Nobody's Home. I thought that this was a fun way to end the album off. It was fun. And if the band had more fun tracks like this, I think I would be a lot more warmer to this album. I think I would look upon it a little bit more fondly instead of looking at my clock and my watch being like, okay, when are we wrapping up here? Because even though it's only 48 minutes long, it really feels its runtime. In the end, Niche Syndrome is not one that I'm definitely going to be returning to. It's not my style. It's just not for me, you know? And I know that I'm not the directed audience. I'm not the individual that they're writing their music to. You know, I'm either a metalhead or a progger, you know, and this doesn't really fall into either of those camps. So yeah, for me, I don't even know who I would want to recommend this to. Like I can think of 5 other bands that I would probably recommend before recommending this one that are able to kind of blend this more popular rock from Japan with, you know, that kind of fun drive that the emo scene was doing. So yeah, this just wasn't necessarily for me. So in the end, I will say that Niche Syndrome by One OK Rock is one that I would skip. Yeah, it was interesting, but I probably won't be looking into these guys anymore. I can at least say that I have now listened to them. So there we go. So yeah, what do you guys think about this album? Have you heard it before? If you did, let me know of your own experience with it. This album is, if you can believe, 12 years old at this point. So, and it really felt those years while I was listening to it. But yeah, hopefully you had a much more positive experience with this album, as I'm sure Leifon did. And I'm going to extend another big thank you to Leifon for donating to my Patreon. If you want to be cool like Leifon, please donate. I've got my link down below. You'll get your name at the end credits during all of my videos and a personal shout out when you sign up. So, and depending on how much you donate, a different type of a thank you, whether it be a live stream, whether it be a album review. Yeah, all that could be yours if you want to sign up to my Patreon. So yeah, that's all I've got for you guys today. That's all I've got. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.